Dear Marta, dear Hungarian friends, thank you very much for the invitation. It is a great honor for me to be here with you. Maybe not the first time, but I hope not the last time. Let's start. The right of a child to be involved in social life, for example, to social participation, is not a frequently discussed issue, although it is one of the fundamental rights of the child. What is more, it is forward-looking in nature, because children are the greatest asset of any society, and it is they who will decide the future of a national community. It is in the common interest to prepare them well for the role from an early age. Children are prepared for social participation in the family environment and then develop in other social groups. The family is the first social group in which a person functions, socializes, and, thanks to it, becomes capable of participating in social life. This is due to the multitude and diversity of contacts and interactions between family members. In the family, as a result of observation and imitation of the attitudes and behaviors of family members in various everyday situations, children's first social behaviors and attitudes are formed. Social participation is a process that involves establishing dialogue and mutual respect between adults and children, sharing information, giving children the opportunity to express their opinions, ensuring their right to be heard, and more importantly, taking their views into account. In this sense, social participation leads to the realization of the idea of civil society. Moreover, it is a means by which democracy is built and a standard by which democracy should be measured. The idea of social participation of children challenges the traditional model of relations between adults and children, which assumes a priori the superiority of adults. The involvement of children in social life changes their status from passive objects of adult influence to subjects of action and creators of social reality. It empowers children. The idea of social participation of children promotes a model in which adults and children cooperate and co-decide on issues concerning various areas of life for the common good. The opinions and positions expressed by children can significantly enrich the perspectives and experiences of adults, and should therefore be taken into account when formulating projects and making decisions. Social participation of children is enshrined in Article 12 of the Convention of the Rights of the Child, which guarantees children the right to freely express their views on all matters affecting them and to have those views taken seriously, in accordance with child's age and maturity. The idea of social participation of children is further elaborated in subsequent articles of the Convention, ensuring the right to freedom of expression, to information adapted to children's developmental capacities, to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, to freedom of association, to peaceful assembly, to privacy, and to access to information from various sources. Article 3 is also important as it obliges public authorities and all those working for children to protect their interests as best as possible. All these provisions are aimed at making children active participants in social life. Thus, children's right to self-determination has been established. Their social status has been redefined, and social participation has been made one of the fundamental dimensions of functioning and conditions for development. An example of social participation of children in the Polish legal system is the Education Act, which provides for the existence of a pupil council in schools. The rules for electing and operating this council are set out in regulations adopted by all pupils in an equal, secret, and universal vote. The bodies of the council are the sole representatives of all pupils. The activities of the pupil council focus on matters relating to the fundamental rights of pupils, the right to familiarize themselves with the curriculum, open and reasoned assessment of progress in learning and behavior, the organization of school life in a way that allows for a proper balance between schoolwork and the opportunity to develop and pursue one's interests, the editing and publication of a school newspaper, the organization of cultural, educational, sporting, and entertainment activities, the election of teacher to act as the pupil council supervisor. The legislator also allows for the possibility of associations and other organizations operating in schools, in particular, scouting organizations, whose statutory purpose is educational activity of the expansion and enrichment of the forms of teaching, educational care, and innovative activities of the school. The legislator also allows minors the right to associate. According to the Associations Act, minors aged 16 to 18 who have limited legal capacity may belong to associations and exercise active and passive voting rights, which means that they may elect and be elected to the association's authorities, provided that the majority of the association's management board consists of persons with full legal capacity. Minors under the age of 16 may, with consent of their legal representatives, belong to associations, but without the right to vote or stand for election to the association's governing bodies. However, if an organizational unit of an association consists exclusively of minors, they may elect and be elected to the authorities of that unit. The right of association entails the right to participate in public assemblies. In its judgment of 14th of February 2006, in the case of Christian Democratic People's Party versus Moldova, the European Court of Human Rights ruled that the participation of children in public assemblies depends on the decision of their parents, although in practice it is difficult, if not impossible, to verify that this condition has been met. It would be contrary to freedom of assembly to prohibit children from participating in public assemblies, especially those concerning issues related to their upbringing or education. Under the Local Government Act of 1990, it is possible to establish youth council operating within local governments, which have a consultative, advisory, and initiative-taking role. If a local council decides to establish a youth council, it adopts a statute for it, which sets out the rules for its operation, the procedure and criteria for selecting its members, and the rules for the expiry of a mandate and the dismissal of a member of the Youth Council. Since 1994, there has also been a Children and Youth Parliament, which promotes the idea of parliamentarianism among children and young people. The term of office for members lasts 1 year, and the only session of the year takes place of Children's Day, the 1st of June. This is the first initiative of its kind in Europe. In 2024, the Children's Rights Ombudsman established the Team for Children and Youth Participation, whose aim is to develop a national strategy for strengthening the participation of children and young people in social life in Poland. Social participation allows children not only to express their opinions, but also to creatively influence reality and adapt it to their expectations. It contributes to increased self-confidence and belief in their own abilities. It allows them to gain knowledge about the functioning of democratic decision-making processes, developing the ability to organize themselves into formal and informal structures, teaches a sense of agency and responsibility for decisions made, and creates social competencies and pro-social attitudes. The condition for real social participation of children is accountability for their participation and informing them about the importance of the opinions they express and the final results of the projects undertaken. A serious barrier to the development of social participation of children is the lack of trust and willingness to understand each other between adults and children. Meanwhile, the essence of social participation is genuine partnership between adults and children, mutual respect for each other's opinions, and inspiration for the common good. Therefore, it is very important to properly prepare those who work with children and manage the participatory process, as they are the ones who decide on the topics and specifics of the activities in which children are then involved. It is up to them to encourage the youngest to get involved in joint ventures and to create opportunities for these. Other frequently mentioned barriers to participatory processes include lack of experience and skills to conduct participatory processes involving children, insufficient knowledge among adults about possible forms of child participation. Adults believe that children lack civic competence, rational thinking, or decision-making skills, misunderstanding resulting from differences between the worlds. However, all these can and should be improved, bearing in mind that today's children are, after all, tomorrow's adults, for whom they will take responsibility. In order for them to be able and willing to do so, they must be properly prepared, which is facilitated by involving children in social issues within the framework of social participation institutions. Thank you very much for kindly listening to some of my comments to this subject. Thank you very much.